Long time no see, I know. I have been making some progress, so unfortunately I didn't film any of this, but I got the locations for the rear upper control arm mounts all finished up and came out amazing. Wasn't a whole lot different from the front, so I figured, I'll just blaze through it and get to something that would make a good video, which is going to be the fabrication of the rear coilover setup for this C5 Corvette suspension. And basically the issue that we're going to have, and I'll show you right now, is that on the stock suspension using a monoleaf, it's got the shock absorber mounted right here. And if we wanted to just throw a coilover on here, we're gonna have a couple problems, which is first of all, the mounting system is very unique. You can't just get an off-the-shelf coilover with this type of bracket on the bottom of it. And second of all, we're gonna run into clearance issues throwing a spring over this shock right here with the toe adjuster and also with the axle, especially when it starts to go in compression, the spring gets a little bit larger. So I do have a couple of ideas in mind that are based off of some old design Q1A coilovers for C5 Corvettes. And see, I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about on my phone. So this is what I've seen that Q1A makes for a C5 Corvette. And basically what I'm going to do is make these brackets that mount to the control arm. We'll make this riser piece, which is also a spring perch, and that should give us the clearance around the toe adjustment and also the axle. And basically, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it out of steel, not aluminum, because that's what I have to work with. Let me show you what we're going to do. And this GoPro has been nothing but problems with me lately as far as condensating on the lens goes, but it looks like it's cleared up, and I'll show you what I got going on here as far as my plan. So what I'm going to be doing is taking various different sizes of pipe, mostly schedule 40, one piece is schedule 80, that's the outermost ring. And the reason why I'm having to do it this way is because I couldn't find exact sizing for what I needed. But essentially, I've cut 1/4 inch pieces of 2 different size pipe that I'm gonna lay over this larger piece of pipe, which is gonna act as our spring perch, and we'll go ahead and get it all welded together. And then we'll weld an end plate on here that will thread onto our coilover in place of this top eyelet mount. And that should space the spring towards the bottom of the shock, and we're just gonna mount them inverted in there. And that should give us all the clearance that we need. My template that I've made up for our control arm mount, as you can see, I went ahead and copied this design exactly. All right, so this is a problem you'll run into quite frequently with a little press brake like this, is that as you try to bend the other 90, you start to interfere with the tool itself. And the only way that I've figured to get around this issue is to not to continue to bend it into it, because then you'll start to bend this out where you drilled the hole. So what you gotta do is take it over to a vise like this, place it in there on the bend line, all right, clamp it down, take your hammer, and finish the bend. Now, unfortunately, that does mar up all of the metal, but unfortunately, there's just no way around it that I've found yet. You know, maybe if you have the right tools, you'll have less problems, but this is what we got. All right, perfect. Okay, so here's the first bracket we bent up. It fits perfect. It can get plenty of angle too, even though I don't think we'll need to go that far. So let's pull it out and check the other one. All right, the second one fits as well. So now we're ready to go ahead and drill a hole in the center here for the shock to thread into. Went to the hardware store real quick and then got back and was so excited to get going on it that I completely spaced out on the camera, but I went and picked up a couple of 9/16 by 18 thread nuts to weld into our brackets here, and now we can thread it onto the shock here. But first we're gonna throw this tube on so that we can verify the exact length we're gonna need coming off of the control arm. And then we'll thread this guy on, and we're gonna go throw this on the car and see what kind of measurement we can come up with. Well, we're gonna have to make the spring perch and slide it on there as well so that we can see exactly what we can get away with, because it's looking like we may have to just leave this about the length it is right now. Well, yeah, we're gonna have to do that first, and then we'll get back to this. Working on trying to weld the top cap onto our tube here, and essentially I'm using the strut as a centering device. Now, our tube is a little bit bigger than the strut, and it's kind of giving me a hard time centering the top piece there. So what I'm gonna do is wrap some layers of tape around the strut here to kind of tighten up our spacing, and that should help me center the tube a little bit better. You can see my spring perch, basic idea, and it looks like we can drop down a fairly decent amount with, we might be able to cut an inch off of this. I'm gonna take a measurement to be sure, but that's definitely gonna help me out, because I'm noticing when I put the 9-inch spring on here with this amount of spring perch spacer that it's gonna be, you know, it's not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to put it all together because the strut is too short for the entire length of the combination. So I'm gonna grab a tape measure and figure out how much I can hack off of that, and we'll be back. All right, well, I once again forgot to be filming, but this is one spring perch. It's pretty much done. I'm gonna go ahead and use the MIG to lay a weld down around the bottom side here, and I'm just working on the other one right now, and then we'll be able to get them installed and see how they fit. All right, so here's the finished product of everything I've made today. We have our coil perch, which is just made out of 3 different sizes of pipe. And then I have the lower mount bracket, which is made out of some plate steel and a 9/16 18 nut. And we're gonna let this cool, and then we're gonna go ahead and test fit both sides and see what we got. I'm pretty happy with the result. Well, it looks like we got success. Check it out. There is the coilover on the passenger side. Now, obviously, the real test is going to be when we're able to stroke it out and see that the shock body doesn't interfere with our spring perch here. But I'm pretty sure that we should have that under control. And here's the driver's side. You can see I kind of offset each side a little bit towards the axle, probably by a 1/4 inch, and it just gave us just enough clearance here for what we needed. So super pumped with the way these came out. I was thinking it was going to be a big project, and I guess technically it was. I've been working on it all day, but it went really smoothly, and I'm super satisfied with the results. So as you probably can tell, next video we're going to be making shock mounts for the top side of these guys, and then we're going to be well on our way to getting the frame finished for this thing, and then we'll be actually rolling. So I'm super excited. This thing is moving along like a freight train. I'll catch you guys next time. I'm going to mention one last thing. That was the conclusion to how you get a custom coilover set for your C5 Corvette project for about $1,000 bucks.